there, Terry. Hope you're having a great day today. This is your video lesson. Let's see here, two things I want to talk about. And at the end of this, if you have questions, which I'm sure you will, as you always do, so just do questions, feel free to send those on over to me, and when I get a free second, I'll send it on back to you. I was just sitting here this morning. I'm sorry, I'm battling a cold, so I sound all kind of congested, and kind of if I start coughing in the middle of this thing, that's why. So hopefully ibuprofen will kick in pretty soon. I was just sitting here getting some paperwork done and getting caught up some stuff for some students next week. I was like, oh, maybe I'll do Terry's video. I didn't see anything back. I know you're traveling back today from moving your daughter in, so I figured I'd send this over to you in case when the plane lands, you don't have a second to record anything, but there'll be something there for you just in case you need something new to work on. So I got your text message, and I'll kind of just talk about those points, the things you can work on this week. Excellent work working on your rhythm tree subdivisions. It is a long process. I know because I lived it. So I'll start there, and I'll give you a nice exercise that you can do just away from the guitar. You don't even need a guitar in your hands for this one. All you need is a phone with a metronome on it, and I'm going to pull it up right now. So I'm going to get my trusty metronome out here. There we go. And so tempo speed, so tempo, right? This exercise is what I call my subdivision strengthener. And it really forces you to use your inner ear, which is really ultimately what we're trying to develop, for you to hear this stuff in your head. And then that way when you play with the click, it's even stronger. So what I'm gonna do is actually the more difficult thing. So it's hard to go fast, and then when someone goes from playing at a slower speed and trying to break into faster speeds, it's kind of like a breaking point. So you have like ultimately fast, like super fast is like hard. And then you have like a region in there with the metronome where it's like, okay, this isn't that bad. And then there's a region where you have to go from like thinking about what you're doing to like letting the muscles kind of just like do their own thing, if that makes sense to you. I'm sure it doesn't make sense to you. But going from like consciously thinking about the pick to like letting it just kind of fly, there's kind of like a break in there where you have to kind of just get past. And then there's another one too that doesn't get talked about enough, I don't think, which is going ultra slow, right? Which is where Albatross kind of sits in, because I think if I remember right, the BPM's like 60 a minute. It's not fast, it's actually quite slow. Largo, in fact. And so what I would do to get better at subdivisions, to hear them, because sometimes like the hard thing is like this kind of stuff. Like landing that like while hearing the beat in your head at really slow tempos. So that needs to be exercised too. So what I do is I set my metronome here to 60 BPM in just the quarter note. I'm not I told you. I'm not going to put on the 16th note subdivision in the background because that's a separate practice skill. I'm going to set this to 60 and just the quarter note. Turn that on so you can hear it. So that's not that bad. And what you're going to do in your head while you're doing this is you're going to try to hear 16th notes inside your head as you count them. Pepperoni, pepperoni, pepperoni. Making sure to put the emphasis, the accent on pep, right? Or you can think of, if you want more kind of like scholarly things, 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and wait, that right there. I find pepperoni is easy to do, so I just do that. Pepperoni, 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 right? And I'm gonna try to hear that in my head. And then I'm gonna try to do it cold. Like I'm not gonna play it until I hear it in my head. And then off. Right? Then I do this. Once I can do that like 3 or 4 times in a row without too much sweat, then I do is I go here. I'll make this 50. In my head, I'm doing there we go. Dude, I still do this. I go down, I'll show you how far I go. So that's 50. I'm gonna bump that down to 40 now. Dog practice. And it has to be perfect. It's a lot harder than it looks. What'll happen a lot of times as soon as I try to go, it's a little bit of that. But the goal is to be able to do that like in your head. Just go to your guitar and immediately play. So like, no, like, let me get a couple passes at it first, you know, let me get a couple mulligans first and then I'll do it. No, you gotta do like sit there quietly. I got this exercise. So one of my teachers is like a stupidly awesomely good shred guitar player. And I was like, how do you get so even so fast? And he's like, the answer is not to go fast, it's to go slow. I'm like, what did you mean by that, Yoda? And I was like, and he's like, well, if you can hear them ultra slow in your head, you're gonna when you go fast, it's like supercharging what you've practiced because the clicks are so close that you can just hear them. So I found it was very beneficial to practice slow. I'm gonna go down to 30. That one's hard. Early. See, I'm early there, so like that means like, dude, I need to practice that more, right? So after I hang up with this call, I might practice that for a little bit. You know, I've been, you know, when I was doing these a lot, like I might go down to 20, and then what you can do is go, okay, well, I'm gonna go into 4/4, right? Like I'll make clicks right here, and then like I'll turn off every one but the downbeat at 60, and so you'll hear this. Yeah. Oh shoot, I was late. But you get the idea though. I mean, you can make this like way hard. You can make it sort of like, you know, I don't know, like 12 beats have passed and then can you land? Or 16 beats have 16 beats pass and can you land? So it'd be dead silence for 16 counts at 60 beats. That's a long time, right? And can you track that in your brain with no reference whatsoever, right? If you can do that, man, you're in business. Like that's the kind of stuff I work on. Like, can I hear 24 bars of like dead silence, but it's still in my brain, still track what I'm supposed to do. And then when you go to the clicks and you start playing on this, like, you know, playing on the computer where you're trying to like track guitar parts and stuff, you runs rock solid. But this is like the stuff that's like painful, but beneficial. All right, pain is weakness leaving the body, right? So anyway, that's what I have to say about that. That's gonna help your inner ear tremendously, right? If you do that, man, you're gonna have really good command over the space of the measure of time, right? And then you do kind of cool stuff where it's like you're playing backing tracks and you might play something where it's like, and you'll just hear that time pass and where is it appropriate to come back in, right? Another thing for us to talk about at some point is hearing chord changes go by, and can I play just like the root note of every chord as chords are changing by? That's kind of an offshoot of this exercise of like ultra ear training for the rock player. So cool. Moving on to point number 2 is the Eagles. So we're talking about Earl My Eagles licks. You were mentioning in the text message that you were trying to associate the different Peter Green licks with which cage box they go with. And I'll give you a new one today because of my Peter Green book back at the office. So I'll give you one, like a really great standard. If you get this lick down, man, you can use it for a lot of stuff. So you get like a lot of bang for your buck out of this lick right here. And you'll see why in a second. This is my a la Eagles lick, which sounds like this. So there's my a la Eagles lick. And you can use that for a wide variety of genres, you know, from blues rock to the hard rock Angus Young stuff. He'll do things like that. He just turns to distortion. Like say if I just turn like, I don't know, this overdrive, I'm not sure what's set to. So if I, sorry. stand over. Or if you take it up here. Right? It's all just the same notes. It's just how you articulate them in the rhythms that you use and the tempos that you choose and the subdivisions you decide on. But at the end of the day, it's all the same finger patterns. So this one here revolves around an E form. And what we used to call box 2 is what I would call now E box. So I would say G major pentatonic, E box. The same way that if we were playing Albatross, there's box 1 is now this G box, box 2. Oh, sorry, not box 2. E major. So E, you say E form, E major for box 2 for Albatross. Right? So that lick is going to be this. So you have the chord, and I've mapped this out for you here, is that this right here is your guidepost. I remember this real well. This is kind of like what you're going to use to make sure that you're in the right spot for your other chord changes. It's really helpful when playing these licks to have like a guidepost where you go, this is the note I'm going to use as my anchor note, so that way I know where other spots. It's going to be like a spot that you know really well, like the first string, like know those notes really well, the same way that we're in 5 and 6 really well. That way it'll be less abstract and you'll be able to use it more quickly on the fly without thinking too much. The idea in the beginning first is you have to kind of write a lot of these out and kind of do like a lot of the math in your head. And then as you play them more and you start seeing all the little guideposts in there or the anchor spots, that'll help you remember where they are on the, be able to move them to other keys on the fretboard. I'll give you an example right here, kind of like what I did at the beginning of the video. Oops. There, what I did was I used this part of the E form chord. And if I remember that this is, oh, that's the E form, right? Anywhere I go, okay, well, this note's G here. If I go up here and I know this is D and I play that exact same lick, I know this is C right here. Right? It allows me to move around, but you gotta get it real good in the first position first and know the licks stone cold, man. You gotta be able to play that thing in your sleep. That's why you have to know licks. You can't, what I call like trivia night, know them. You need to know it expert level, know it as like someone who, you know, say the stuff that you do, like you gotta know that stuff rapid fire, quickly, without question, and it has to be instantaneous rather than oh, like you showed me that one time, I think I know what it is. Like, no. You have to know it's stone cold to be able to move it around the fretboard, as you know, right? So just always reiterating, I'm always reiterating that, like you gotta know it perfectly before you start moving around the fretboard. Right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna slide 2 to 4, middle finger, put that pointer finger down, that little pyramid bar, come back to the 4, and 2 more, and then hammer on that 5th fret. And I marked out here too that this lick is borrowing a little bit from the arpeggio because it lives inside the scale box. You have the scale box, you have the arpeggio, and then you have your scale box, arpeggio, and then chord. So I do that. I usually do this chord, scale, arpeggio. And then I do the lick and I try to see, okay, I'm sliding up from the scale into the chord, E chord. And once I can do that, all afternoon, I'll try to move to a different spot. So say, for example, I'll throw it on since Sunday and it's kind of hanging out, putting up my toys. I'm gonna throw up here, see if there's an Albatross backing track. Albatross. Albatross, Fleetwood, backing track, and let's see. I don't know if these sound any good or not. I'm just gonna try it out and see what happens. Close enough for rock and roll. I'm gonna move to E, just because that's where this is. Right, I got my chord, my arpeggio, my pentatonic. And then one more time to lick because I screwed it up a little bit. Arpeggio, box, sequences, Eagles lick, chord, box one more time, Peter Green lick. I made this Peter Green, I have to look at my notes. Somebody. Eagles. Arpeggio. I've been doing this a long time, man, and I find joy in that. So for me, just sticking in one spot and just like hearing all how it kind of sounds against this kind of sounds quite nice. So, well, anyway, if you want to try with the key of G, how I wrote it out here, I would just simply pull up a backing track in key of G. So G major backing track. And if I do this Allman Brothers style one, sorry. This is the same notes, I'm just changing out the rhythm. Both Lynyrd Skynyrd, Eagles, right? So there's different quotes I've had from players over the years. So work on that for me. Like I said, if you want to send anything over regards to this or something else you'd like me to talk about, let me know. If not, I'll see you on Friday. Take care.